Hello and welcome to Odoo Pilot. In this video, I will show you how to use pre-sale mode to create a detailed gap analysis and project estimate from client requirements and how you can create customization mockups from pre-sale mode. For this demo, I will use the requirements of a steel manufacturing company. I have already created a workspace for this project. There are two ways to start a new chat. The first option is open the project workspace. Here you can attach the documents, enter your prompt and start the chat directly. The second option is to click the new chat button on the left side. Both options allow you to start working inside the selected project. Odoo Pilot provides 6 different modes: pre-sale, implementation, module builder, website builder, pilot studio and ask Odoo. For this video, I will use the pre-sale mode. Pre-sale mode is selected by default whenever we start a new chat. In pre-sale mode, we have two options. One is estimate and other is mockup. The estimate options create a complete gap analysis report and project estimate. It reviews the client requirements, identifies standard Odoo features, highlights required customization, estimates the efforts and divides the project into suitable phases. The mockup option, which is basically create visual mockups for the customization requirements. For now, I will select the estimate. Before uploading the requirements, there are some settings which we have to do. Before uploading the requirements, I will open the estimate settings. These settings help Odoo Pilot prepare the estimate record according to your business model, pricing, client budget, timeline, and currency. These settings apply only to this specific chat. The first option is agency or freelancer. This selection affects the estimated hours, delivery timelines, because an agency estimates may include additional timeline for project management, internal reviews, quality assurance, communication, and deployment. And freelancer estimate is usually based more closely on the direct effort required to complete the work. This helps Odoo Pilot create an estimate that match the way you deliver projects. For this example, I will go with the agency selection. The next section is what hourly rate should we use for this pricing. In this section, we can add our hourly rate. As a freelancer, I can use $20 to $50 per hour. As agency, I can use 100 onwards, depending on your agency hourly rate. In this, for example, I add $100. This field help to estimate the project cost. For example, if my hourly rate is $100, I will enter $100 here. Then it will help to create a proper estimate for the client project. The next field is client budget. If this budget is known to you, you can add the client budget here. If this budget is not known to you, then you can skip this field. For now, I say I need this client budget is $10,000. The next field is what delivery timeline does the client expect. I can add whenever client wants to go live with their Odoo system. You can add 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on your client requirements. If this is unknown to you, you can skip this field. So for example, I can select agency $100 and $10,000 and I save this information here. Now this information is saved here. Now the next step is to add. I will attach my client requirements here. From my local system, I go into my local system and I have already prepared this demo client requirements PDF. So I will attach that PDF here. For a best prompt, I will already written a good prompt for this chat. I will copy this prompt and paste here. Review the attached requirements for the steel manufacturing company. Create a complete Odoo gap analysis. Identify standard features and customization. Estimate the required efforts and cost and divide the project into suitable implementation phases. Even you will not write this line, Odoo Pilot now what it has to do. I will run this prompt I will enter this prompt and Odoo Pilot will start working on this. It will take some time to analyze the client requirements, identify what client requirements, what are the gaps, where the customization needed to prepare this best gap analysis report. Now Autopilot has started working on it. You can see a new screen on to the right side. After working 1 to 2 minutes on client requirements, Autopilot will generate a gap analysis and estimate report for you. You have two options to download with a PDF and download with a Word. So I will go with the PDF. On this section, I will give the client's name here. So this is, for example, John. I will click on download PDF and Odoo Pilot will download this gap analysis report in the form of PDF inside my system. Now I have opened this gap analysis report. You see the onto the top, system has given the name which Autopilot asked for us, the client name. It also have added the project name here on the basis of our given client requirements prepared by me, date and report version v1, and this is Odoo version Odoo 19 Enterprise, because in the when I have created my workspace, I clearly given my Odoo version which was the 19. In my gap analysis report, the first section is executive summary, where it define all the executive summary of on the basis of the client requirements. Second section is current process understanding. What Odoo Pilot means, what we have understood from the client requirements. Then the future Odoo phases, there are the recommendations on the basis of client requirements which Odoo Pilot added into our gap analysis report. Then Odoo Pilot has divided the complete project into different tasks and into different phases. If I look into the gap analysis, this is lead capture, quotation, blanket order, and conversion to sale order. Odoo Pilot will add the Odoo capability, which by default Odoo supports. CRM sales cover leads, opportunity, quotations, blanket orders, and order confirmation. So minimal, this is the gap. Like this thing Odoo is already can do, and this is the minimal gap requires business specific fields and workflow setup. On the basis of client requirements, this thing is missing from the Odoo. Recommended solution is user standard CRM sales with configuration for inquiry attributes, sales team and template. In this section, Odoo Pilot will give you the solution. Type is configuration and priority is high, and Odoo Pilot has added this task into phase 1. Because this thing can be done by the Odoo standard functionality, so Odoo Pilot add this task into the configuration. This other task, which is steal products by create form dimensions without variant explosion. So this task was totally a custom built task. So on the basis of intelligence, Odoo Pilot has added this task into the custom module, which is also part of the phase 1. So for the other task, like you can see, Odoo Pilot has divided those different tasks into different phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and also have highlighted for this we need custom development, or this can be done by the configuration by the default feature. After this section, Odoo we can find the proposed Odoo modules. In this section we can find what Odoo modules we needed to complete this project. The next thing is solution architecture. For the better understanding to the client, Odoo Pilot create a proper solution architecture blueprint, which it gives proper information, what we understood and how this project is going to be handled, and how the data process, how the architecture work, integration work. So client can clearly say our understanding of this project. If there are something missing, he clearly communicate with us and we can redo this estimate for him again. In the scope classifications, we can find this is what is the included in the scope for on the basis of the client requirements, what is the optional scope, what is excluded, and what is unclear requirements. So before the starting, so client can clearly understand the estimation is basically the base of on the included scope and optional scope. This scope is not included here and these requirements are unclear. So this scope, the estimate can be changed when these requirements will be clear. In project phases, Odoo Pilot will divide the complete project into different phases. On the basis of phase 1, it has only choose all the phase 1 tasks which he divided here and create a timeline here, dev efforts 488 to 580 hours, and it will also add the QA hours here. Timeline in weeks will be given here. For phase 2, it has also divided these hours, QA hours and the timeline. For phase 3 and phase 4 onwards, this section is basically timeline, efforts and pricing is for the user perspective, for the agencies and for the freelancer. Before sending a client requirement, this gap analysis report to the client, you should remove these sections. So because this is for the internal business process. So Odoo Pilot will give you three estimates. One is most likely, which is will be the tightly budget. The second is the competitive, and third is the safe budget. Why Odoo Pilot divide these estimates into three different estimates? The reason is when we are working in the market, client is dealing with the different agencies at the same times. To win a project, Odoo Pilot divide three safe estimates, which you can use on the basis of the use case. You know how good your client is on budget and how tight your client is on their budget, so you can choose the timeline basis of your use case, sorry. The next thing is, you remember I have added that client budget was the $10,000, but this project needed approximately 1600 hours, 1300 hours, and on tight budget there is 1119 hours. The budget is, because my hourly rate was $100, which I use as a dummy hourly rate. So the total project need 1018 118 and $915. But the client budget was only $10,000. So Odoo Pilot has mentioned this thing here. With my current hourly rate, we can only work 100 hours. Full scope hours is 1373 hours on the basis of competitive budget, competitive estimate. So the gap is 1273 hours. To give a better understanding to the client, the better understanding to the agencies and freelancer, so they can communicate properly with their clients. So after this, the next thing is, you can see the recommendation. Budget cover approximately 100 hours of 1372.5 full scope. Recommended splitting into phases, delivery phase in budget and schedule remaining scope as a later phases. So this is basically for the agencies and freelancers. Before sending this estimate to the client, you should remove this section from your estimate. How you can remove this section? We have also added another option, download this in Word. When you download this into the Word, you can do your recommended changes and then you can export with a PDF and share with your client. So the next section in our delivery report, gap analysis report, is assumptions, which basically for the better understanding of the client. So we can add the implementation Odoo enterprise. So these here we can Odoo Pilot by default add these assumptions. Also add the risks. What could the risk for the unsuccessful of this project? Odoo Pilot will add these details here in risk sections. Dependencies will be added here. Recommended implementation approach will be added into this section, and client facing proposal summary will be added here. So in a one click, when you give the requirements of your client requirements project, so Odoo Pilot will create a best gap analysis report in just a single click. And Odoo Pilot estimate is properly trained onto the Odoo estimates. Again, when you have to share this estimation report with the client, you have to remove this estimate section area. You can only keep the estimate which you want to share with the client, and you also have to remove this section from the client estimation report. So this is how you can create like estimates with the Odoo Pilot with a single click. The next part of pre-sale mode is the mockup generation. In the same chat, I will now select the mockup option. In this mockup option, a clear and detailed prompt is very important for getting accurate mockup in the first attempt. For this project, I will use the following prompt which I already have saved in my chat. I will copy this prompt. I'll give the details here. And I have explained everything what actually I'm looking into these three screens. I'm asking to create a steel coil receipt form, sorry. In this I have added the complete information. Then the next screen is coil remnant tracking form, remnant tracking form. In this I have added all the information here. Then the third one is heat traceability screen. I have added the complete information here for the best mockup. So I can remove the I can optimize my tokens. I can optimize my token and get results in a one go. So I have added all this information here for my customization screen. I have also selected the mockup option here. Now I will hit the prompt here. When you will hit, Autopilot will start analyzing your requirements and start working on the mockups. We have trained the Autopilot into the auto limitations area. What Autopilot screens will be create, uh, mockups Autopilot will generate for the user. This is under the Autopilot limitations. And also this is not like something which cannot be achievable through the Auto. So while giving the prompt, Autopilot had started working on the mockups. You can see on the right side. So Autopilot is working on three different mockups, and Autopilot will generate these mockups one by one. First, it will create the step one mockup, then it move to the second two, and then the step three. After 2 to 3 minutes working, Autopilot will generate these beautiful mockups for you. You can download specific image, and also if you want to download all the mockups, you have to click on download PDF button. Autopilot will download these complete PDF mockups into your system. Into these mockups, you can see Autopilot has clearly designed these mockups under the auto limitations. This is screen 1, screen 2, and screen 3. Now, if you find something which is not following your instructions or your client customization requirements, you can take a screenshot of this and give again to Autopilot, and Autopilot will start working on this again, onto that specific screenshot only. So this is how you can create estimates and mockups inside the pre-sale mode. To run the mockups, to create a perfect mockups, you have to give a clear information. So Autopilot can generate these mockups for your customization purpose in a one go. I hope this video will be helpful for you how to create estimates and how to create mockups in Autopilot. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.